I think we can only do it together. So in a 100-meter race, so which means you need to travel to 100 meters, right? In a 100-meter race, I want to accelerate from rest at 3.3 meter per second square. So the displacement is 100 meters. Acceleration is 3.3 meter per second square. And reaches a maximum velocity of 10 meter per second. 10 meter per second. Reaches the velocity 10 meter per second. Okay, so it accelerates from rest. Accelerates from rest, so which means its initial velocity is 10 meter per second. Okay, so then he maintains this velocity for the rest of the race. So what is his finishing time? So in this case again, there are two. You can divide the motions into two parts. So this guy is having the 100-meter race, right? He first accelerates from 0 meter per second to 10 meter per second. So for the first part is the uniformly accelerated motion. So for the second part, it keeps its velocity 10 meter per second, right, to the end. So for the second part, is the uniform motion. There is no acceleration for the second part. And as we need to know the time he finished. So we need to know the time he finished. So first, we need to know how long does this guy use for accelerating from 0 to 10 meters per second. So we need to have the initial velocity, U, final velocity, V, acceleration 3.3 meter per second squared. And then we need to find the t, right? So we have 3 known quantities and 1 unknown. Look at the 4 equations. Then we need to use v equals to u plus at. So 10 equals to 0 plus 3.3 times t. So t is 3 seconds. Okay. So for the first part, it used 3 seconds. And then how can we know how long does this take for the second half? For the second part, not second half, for the second part. Okay, so for the second part, if the distance is c, then the time is c over 10, right? Since there is no acceleration, then we can use the equations we learned in primary 6. Distance or displacement equal to velocity times time. The key point is that how can we know the distance or displacement for the second part? So again, we need to calculate the distance for the first part first. Okay. So now the initial velocity is 0. Final velocity is 10 meters per second squared. And then the A is 3.3 meters per second squared. In this case, we want to find the displacement. We want to find the displacement of first part, and then we can know the displacement of the second part, right? So we have these 3 known quantities, and there is 1 unknown. So v squared minus u squared equals to 2as. So 10 squared minus 0 squared equals to 2 times 3 on 3 times s. So what's the values of s? What's the values of s? What's the values of s? Hello? Hello? Are you still here? Hello?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so for the first part, this guy used 3 seconds to accelerate to 10 meters per second, okay? And then during this 3 seconds, its displacement is 15.15. So what is the displacement for the second part? What's the displacement for the second part? What's the displacement for the second part? Hi. What's what's the displacement for the second part? What's the displacement for the second part? 好啦，我投降啊，我自己寫。Okay, so for the whole race is 100 meters, right? So it travels 15.15 in the first part, so minus 15.15. So it's 84.85 meters. Okay. So for the second part is 84.85 meters. Okay. So how long does this take to complete the second part? So for the second part is a uniform motion. There is no acceleration. So the time equals to the displacement over velocity. So it is 8.485 seconds. Okay. So it takes 8.485 seconds to complete the second half. So the total time is 3 seconds plus around 4.5 seconds. So it's 11.5 seconds. 好啦，我哋1分鐘都唔夠啦。咁咧，我哋今堂就完啦。我哋提早咗1分鐘落堂。咁咧，如果你有咩問題咧，咁就大家 inbox 我啦嚇。I will upload this lesson to your class email. Okay, so I will send the link to your class email. So you have 10 seconds. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
冇
問題。好快。呢個題目最緊要就係分兩部分，第一部分係 uniformly accelerated motion。